The night of April 14, 1912, a vast star-filled sky hangs over a calm black ocean. On this seemingly peaceful canvas, a drama of epic proportions is about to unfold. The RMS Titanic, the largest moving object ever built by human hands, is on its maiden voyage. It is a symbol of progress, a testament to human ingenuity. It is called unsinkable. Yet, in a few short hours, this titan of the sea would slip beneath the waves, taking with it more than 1,500 souls. We have been told a story, a simple narrative of a tragic accident. Iceberg, a glancing blow, a fatal wound. But is that all there is to it? For over a century, this event has been etched into our collective memory. It's a cautionary tale about human hubris. But beneath the surface of this accepted history, darker questions linger, motives hidden in the shadows of boardrooms, back alleys. Was the sinking of the Titanic truly an unfortunate accident or something else entirely? The truth, like the ship itself, may lie deep beneath the surface. We must ask ourselves what we truly know. We will sift through evidence, both official and speculative, in a search for answers. The story of the RMS Titanic begins not with its end, but with its grand conception. The White Star Line wanted to dominate the transatlantic trade. They envisioned a new class of superliners, not the fastest but the largest and most luxurious. The Titanic, the Olympic, the Britannic, floating palaces built for the Gilded Age. Construction began in 1909 at Harland and Wolff in Belfast. Thousands of workers poured in. The ship's hull was divided into 16 watertight compartments, designed to stay afloat if 4 were breached. The press called her practically unsinkable. That phrase would become tragically ironic. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic embarked on her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York. On board, some of the world's wealthiest, John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and hundreds of third-class immigrants. A microcosm of society, lavish suites and modest steerage cabins, passengers marveled at amenities, a swimming pool, a gymnasium, a squash court, opulent dining rooms. The first few days were uneventful. Wireless operators sent messages and received iceberg warnings. Warnings of icebergs were numerous, yet they did not seem to cause significant alarm on the bridge. The dream seemed still very much alive. This journey takes us beyond the familiar tale. The official accepted narrative of the Titanic's demise is a story of nature's unforgiving power and a series of unfortunate human errors. As the evening of April 14, 1912 deepened, the Titanic sailed into a region known for its icebergs. The sea was unusually calm, like a sheet of glass. This calmness was a curse in disguise. Without waves to silhouette them, the icebergs were much harder to spot. Lookouts: Frederick Fleet, Reginald Lee. The binoculars were missing. At about 11:40 p.m., Fleet spotted the iceberg. He rang the warning bell 3 times and shouted, "Iceberg, right ahead!" First Officer William Murdoch ordered a hard-to-starboard turn, and the engines reversed. It was a desperate last-second maneuver. For a moment it seemed possible to avoid the iceberg, but the ship was too large and moving too fast. The iceberg scraped along the starboard side. Below the waterline, the damage was catastrophic. The iceberg had punched and buckled the steel plates across nearly 300 feet, compromising 6 of the ship's 16 watertight compartments. Thomas Andrews inspected the damage and delivered the grim verdict to Captain Edward Smith, at most 2 hours before she would founder. The evacuation was chaotic. Not enough lifeboats, poor management, many boats left partially full, and crew lacked training. Of approximately 2,224 aboard, only around 710 survived. Among the most persistent conspiracy theories is the claim the ship that sank was not the Titanic at all. It was, according to this theory, her nearly identical sister ship, the RMS Olympic. The motive? Insurance fraud on a grand scale. The Olympic had been damaged in a 1911 collision with HMS Hawke, and the inquiry blamed Olympic, denying an insurance claim. Author Robin Gardner popularized the idea the Olympic's damage made her unprofitable, and so a plan was hatched. The damaged Olympic would be cosmetically altered to look like the Titanic. The real Titanic would assume Olympic's identity. The plan: arrange the sinking of the disguised Olympic on a maiden voyage, while a rescue ship stood by to pick everyone up. The SS Californian is often named as the rescue ship. But the plan, if true, went horribly wrong. Rescue failed, sinking became catastrophe. This theory turns the sinking into a cold-blooded insurance scam gone awry. It suggests that the loss of over 1,500 lives was the unintended consequence of corporate greed. The conspiracy paints a picture audacious enough to remain hidden for over a century. Proponents point to alleged photographic anomalies and shipyard evidence. Next, we examine the evidence claimed by supporters of the switch theory. Supporters of the Olympic Titanic switch theory point to a collection of circumstantial evidence and alleged anomalies. One key piece cited is photographic. Small architectural differences argued to be a smoking gun. For instance, the spacing of the portholes on the sea deck of the Olympic was uneven, whereas on the Titanic they were evenly spaced. Some photos labeled Titanic appear to show Olympic features. Supporters argue this suggests a swap. Skeptics point out photographic perspective, repairs, and production variances can explain these differences. Another point, last-minute cancellations by powerful men. J.P. Morgan, Henry Clay Frick, Horace J. Harding. Conspiracy theorists see this as suspicious, proof that the elite were in on it. The SS Californian was stopped in the ice field. Her crew saw rockets but failed to respond. The official explanation blames miscommunication and inaction. When Ballard discovered the wreck, some theorists searched for confirming evidence. Claims included alleged propeller serial numbers and faint underlying Olympic lettering, claims disputed by experts. Mainstream historians and experts maintain the wreck evidence, and documents identify the ship as Titanic. They argue the photographic and debris evidence is consistent with Titanic, but the debate continues. Next, deeper motives, some claim required silencing opposition. So here's another startling conspiracy theory that moves beyond insurance fraud and into global finance. This theory alleges the sinking was an assassination plot to eliminate opponents of a new central bank. The supposed targets? John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus. According to the theory, these men opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve. The architects, J.P. Morgan, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, alleged conspirators. It's said they met at Jekyll Island in 1910 to draft plans for a new financial order. The narrative claims White Star Line officials conspired to lure opponents aboard and cancel their own passage. Some versions claim Captain Smith was ordered to run at full speed through ice, ignoring warnings. Titanic sank in 1912. The Federal Reserve Act passed in December 1913. Conspiracists connect the dots. With those opponents gone, the theory says opposition to the bill evaporated. But these claims rely on circumstantial connections and lack direct proof. Dramatic but not conclusive. We now shift to another alternative explanation grounded in physical evidence, the coal fire theory. Now, while it's not as elaborate as the switch theory or Federal Reserve plots, there is another line of inquiry, a massive coal fire. Journalist Senan Maloney and others have argued a smoldering fire in bunker number 6 weakened the ship. Photographs from the Belfast shipyard show a long dark streak on the starboard hull where the iceberg later struck. Maloney says it is heat damage. Prolonged heat that could weaken steel up to 1,000 degrees Celsius. Such heat exposure would make the hull brittle and more likely to fracture on impact. So the iceberg may have struck Titanic's Achilles heel. The theory suggests White Star Line officials knew of the fire and concealed it to avoid cancellation. They allegedly tried to manage it by drawing down the bunker, feeding burning coal into the furnaces. That may explain the ship's high speed through known ice, racing to make port to extinguish the fire. This line of inquiry offers an alternative narrative, not a plot, but a hidden culpability. A pre-existing fire that weakened the hull, combined with reckless speed and an iceberg, could turn tragedy into calamity. It suggests corporate negligence and a cover-up, a preventable tragedy made worse by secrecy. The Titanic may have sailed not just toward an iceberg, but with a smoldering wound. When we place the official account alongside these conspiracy theories, we're faced with a spectrum of possibilities. They range from the probable to the pretty outlandish. The official story, Titanic struck an iceberg and sank, is supported by eyewitness testimony and a mountain of evidence. There are logs and records from nearby ships that corroborate ice warnings and positions. The physical evidence from the wreck shows damage consistent with a long scraping impact on the starboard side. For most historians and experts, the case is closed. The switch theory would require a conspiracy of immense complexity, thousands of workers and crew staying silent. While cosmetic differences existed, many experts call them minor and explainable. The Federal Reserve plot is dramatic, but lacks direct proof tying the event to the politicians' deaths. Conspiracy theories often rely on circumstantial connections and leaps of inference. The coal fire theory is compelling because it doesn't contradict the iceberg collision, it deepens the causal chain. It suggests corporate negligence and prioritizing schedule over safety, a hidden culpability. Ultimately, weighing narratives is an exercise in evidence and probability. Occam's razor favors the simplest, best-supported story. Conspiracies tap our distrust of authority, but they often crumble under practical scrutiny. Whether we believe them or not, they add layers of meaning that keep the story alive. Over a century has passed since the Titanic slipped into the frigid depths, yet the story holds an unshakable grip on our imagination. Why does this single shipwreck resonate more deeply than countless other tragedies? Part of the answer lies in the ship itself, a symbol of the Gilded Age's pride and technological faith. Her sinking was a brutal rebuttal to that hubris. It's also a profoundly human drama. Wealth and poverty, love and loss, heroism and cowardice. We hear of the band playing and couples choosing to stay together. Archetypal stories that bind us. The enduring mystery and the conspiracy theories fuel our fascination. The idea of hidden truth is irresistible. Researchers and hobbyists alike re-examine the event, feeling like detectives solving a great historical puzzle. The Titanic is a morality play, a mystery, and a memorial all at once. It is also our mirror, reflecting ambition and failure, urging us to learn. We will keep looking into the dark water, searching for answers and pondering the lessons in its silent resting place. Whether we believe the official account or the many theories, the Titanic remains a lesson in pride, error, and compassion. The ship's story is our story, a mirror reflecting the best and worst of human striving. We remember, we learn, we dream,